Welcome to Conversation with Haych, and we have not the Robos, but the Robos. We have the Robos people, the amazing Tafari and Sharina, both who are teachers, both who had a baby during a global pandemic. Not only that, you got doozy talks. Sharina, we're waiting for the album because the vocals is, you get me, all up in the sky. So for those who don't know who you are, who is Tafara Robinson and who is Sharina Robinson?
You want to go first?
I'm Sharina. I'm a friend. I'm a daughter, a sister, a mother. A teacher.
A singer.
A singer. Come.
Talk. Life.
You get me? Fashion. You get me? Lifestyle. Talk them through it, man. Talk them through it.
She's way too
chill vibe.
Don't really laugh. Let me do my little call. I'm Tafari, aka using Nugget, all of that. There's a lot of things that I could say that I am, but I'm really just Tafari, and outside of that, it extends as friend, husband, father, confidant, motivational speaker, little thespian, fashions, but nothing that's like that nobody else can't do or achieve.
I hear that. But before you two became a couple, what was your criteria for a partner that you both had?
Well, me and my brother used to say that the person, and it was a little running joke between us, that the person has to have talent, that they have to be a virgin, that they can't have any kids.
Yeah.
That they have to have a job, and the criteria was mad still. I wish I pulled it up to read it. I've got it somewhere. But before that, I think because I wasn't really looking, I didn't really care. But then when I came across it, I said, okay, this person has to be God-fearing, has to be talented, has to have, either have aspiration. So if they're not currently working, then at least be studying, and just be open and honest, really.
Yeah, I think mine's the same as well. Like, mine's not the generics. You have to be tall, dark, handsome, brown eyes. I think mine's more of what Tafari said about God fearing and have a drive, work ethic, and stuff like that.
So what made you two realize that this is the person I want to be with for the rest of my life? I know we've missed a big part. We missed the chunk where, you two older brothers were best friends at school. They loved off Michael Jackson. We've missed that you guys went to school together. We missed that, all of these kind of things. But talk me through that, and then talk me through when you realize that Sharina Tafari is one for you, Tafari Sharina is the one for you.
Yeah, so our brothers, Sharina's older brother, my younger brother, were best friends, and there was another youth, so there was three of them. Always in the playground, like dancing, and everything was Michael Jackson orientated. Get me, from the way that they spoke, dance, dress, walk, everything was Michael Jackson. And I was like, bro, you gotta snap out of it. Well, that was their thing. You get me? And that's the only person I really remember is Sharina's brother. I don't remember Sharina being there.
Oh, really?
And Nika would have been there as well. Yeah, like
my older sister.
Yeah, my older sister would have been there. And so they didn't register to me that they were family. Sharina's mum used to come in, and I love telling this story because I just think
I don't know, it's so funny to him, honestly.
It's just hilarious. Like, on the non-uniform days, Sharina's mum used to come in and drop off their clothes for non-uniform day. And I'm thinking, why don't you just wear the clothes to school like everybody else? Like, it don't make sense. And she used to come at like break time or lunchtime. So I always used to see her. There was like this bush thing, and you could just see her walking through.
Hold on. So does that mean you wore your school clothes to school on non-uniform day, and then you had to get changed?
Yeah, I actually don't know what. Yeah, I actually don't know why.
I need that to make sense. Like, make it make sense.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, carry on.
That was mad. And so, yeah, that's what I remember of, well, not even Sharina, but of her mom and her brother. Years later, when I finally, became a Christian or a proper Christian and began to live that lifestyle. We just happened to end up going to the same organization of churches, and so my mum was in Small Heath, and Sharina's mum was in Handsworth, and one of the deacons was saying, Farah, come down, and I was like, yeah, cool, like it's only down the road. Went there, when the service was over, Sharina's brother tapped me, but I didn't know who he was because it's been like over like 10 years or some madness like that anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he looks like. He's tapped me and I'm like, you know how I stay Haych. I'm like,
who's this? Who's touching me?
Whose man's is this? I'm like, I'm staring at him. My brain isn't registering who this is, so I'm just staring at him like this.
That's what you're gonna do, Farah.
Yeah, but I'm like, I don't know who this is.
It's church. It's church though, man. It's church.
Bro, I just come out of a tarrying service. You get me, Holy Ghost sweat, wash me. I was tired, hungry. I was like, nah, I'm trying to go home, wash my skin and eat. Who's this tapping me, man? Yeah, so he tapped me and I'm like, who's this? And then like he's explained. I was like, oh, no doubt, that's Darren. So then I was like, oh yeah, cool. So then we did start running in the same circle. So I don't know, it was just a thing where I was there every Tuesday. Darren was a part of the projects who were mainly based, mainly the members were based at my church. And so we're always crossing paths, youth service, the odd Sunday service here and there, or whatever. And then Sharina started running in our circles. She said that she wasn't trying to look me, but she most definitely was. And I remember this one time, we said, like me, Darren, and all my brethren were like, oh yeah, we're going to Star City.
Yeah.
Get me? And then we're like, oh yeah. Somehow Sharina jumps in the car with one of my brethren, and it's just there. We go upstairs, and then I'm like, where did we go? Tinseltown, I think it was. Yeah. So then we're all chilling now, and then Sharina happens to just end up on my table, and there's bare space in other places.
Magically, somehow.
You let me know whether or not he was looking me or not.
Sounds like he was looking him still. I ain't gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
If that's what you guys want to believe, then all right.
So that's how you guys started.
She was looking at me.
So that's how you guys started. Sharina, according to Tafari, Sharina was looking you. Sharina, how did it start for you then?
The same.
Oh, Tafari was looking you.
He was.
Not in the beginning. Nah, not in the beginning. I wasn't interested. You know what? I tell no lies. Sharina used to roll with this girl, and I thought Sharina was a hoe. And I said, she can't be with me. She can't be no hoe.
I can't believe you thought that.
Look at this love story.
I didn't give off any of those vibes either, so it's mad to me how you thought that.
You didn't give off the vibe, but it's like the company you keep.
It's association, guilty by association. It's one of
the
ones.
You get it.
I hear that. So basically, you guys kind of...
But in the beginning, I wasn't looking nobody.
So you catch each other's eye. That's what we've realized. Both of you was looking at each other. Obviously, Tafari said not in the beginning, but eventually you was looking at each other. So how did you get to the point where you're like, yo, this is the person that I can do life with?
We started messaging on Facebook, but just as friends. But then things started to get more serious, and then there was a time where we separated.
Sharina dashed me away. She doesn't like to say she dashed me away.
Yeah, I just felt like we were prioritizing us over God, and I was like, nah, I can't have that. So I just cut things off, and I just took that time to reflect and build back up my relation with God, and seek Him to ask Him if this was the way to go.
No, that's good. Still, that's good.
But even before then, before we even like became a thing on Ita, like I wasn't interested in getting a girlfriend. I weren't interested in marriage. And literally my main focus was to go to church and find God and build a relationship with God. You get me? And I was I'm a dreamer, so God was giving me these dreams, and I was like, I don't know what these mean. And then I was trying to like piece it all together. And then it was basically God saying that Sharina was the one for me. And then so I remember on a Sunday service, the service went off, and I prayed real quick, and I said, God, if this is it, let me know if this is it and what I'm gonna do after. And then I went to Sharina. I said, I like you. I'm not sure if you like me. I'm trying to see where this goes and where it develops. I've got my answer from God. Now I need to now I need you to seek God and see what He says.
That's bold, You pushed her to seek God because you was like, listen, I know what I want. Now I need you to be sure. So you have your conversation over there. And then come back to me, and then we can circle back and have a conversation together. So then you guys end up being together for about 2 years before you get married?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something about 2 years.
Like that.
So you get married, you've been married for 4 years now. So as you're in this kind of marriage process, what was the best and worst advice you received about being married?
I think the best advice for me was communication. You hear that all the time. But yeah, for me, the best advice was communicate, and you don't know how important that is until you're in the situation. And for me, in the beginning, I found it hard to communicate. I was always thinking, what's Tafari gonna say? How's he gonna feel? And for me, I don't like hurting people's feelings, so I'd rather bottle them up and me just focus them. So
and that was mad because I like somebody to be direct with me and just let me know where I stand. So that communication thing, that was the thing that was. I think the worst advice was when people say 2 things. Keep God at the center. Well, duh.
That's the whole point.
You get me? That goes without saying. You get me? And then the second worst advice was probably don't go to bed angry. Well, what if I'm tired?
I hear that.
You get me? And then so if we're both tired, then we're being irrational. You get me? So let us rest and then address it together. The best advice I received was my brethren asking me, is this what I want to do? And that was right up until the very moment before I even on the wedding day, all suited and booted, you get me, ready to walk down the aisle, and they said, are you sure you want to do this? And that was the best advice. And people think that's crazy, but not realizing how serious of a commitment this marriage is, you get me? And instead of saying, oh yeah, this is going to be fantastic and sunshine and daffodils, like they were saying, no, Farah, this is serious. Are you sure you want to do this? Because if not, we can get off and jump on a plane right now.
That's crazy, because you know what it is as well. Especially, let's go back to the advice thing. Some people give advice that they've just heard someone say, and it's not something that they've actually lived or something that they've been through. They're just like, oh, that person said that, so no, when I see a couple, okay, I got my advice. I got my advice set up. And sometimes the advice is good, but when you're given advice, a lot of the time, and it's not based off experience, sometimes the advice just comes off like flimsy, like you haven't got heart in it. So it's just like, okay, I hear you, but let's not focus on what you said, but thank you. Let's move over here. And then the thing with what Tafari is saying about when his friends asked him about the commitment, some people think because I've been boyfriend and girlfriend for 5, 10, 15 years, marriage is just going to be exactly the same. And so much changes, it's crazy. And I've spoken to couples who had kids, been together 16, 17, 18 years. And they said as soon as they got married, so much changed, so much reliability, so much communication lines had to change. Like, you can't just walk out now. You can't just be like, yeah, I'm gone. You can't do that because now there's a commitment that you've made in the eyes of God. And I think it's important. It's important. But have you guys kind of noticed that with your friends, especially Tafara, your friends being married, have you guys noticed that having a community of married people has helped you guys as well in terms of your marriage?
Yeah, definitely.
And how?
Because they have definitely, yes, because they have the understanding of this commitment is forever, and you can't just walk out and not return, or you can't just dash it away and start again. We don't believe in divorce. You get me? And if we were to divorce, we don't believe in remarriage unless the person dies. You get me? And so that's something that we're head up on, and my brethren believe as well. And so having that community that understands that, and having a community who understands the seriousness of marriage and is also married, isn't just dropping advice because it sounds good or because they've heard it, but because they're living it. You get me? And because I can go to them with a problem and say, man, me and Sharina just ain't on the same page. We just don't know how to communicate. And they can say, oh man, I was having this issue as well. This is what we did. It might not work for you, but try this, try that. You get me? And so definitely, because it also didn't make me feel like I was alone.
Yes.
You get me?
I'm going to say the same.
And it all comes, as you said, it comes down to experience. They was able to give you advice based on what they'd experienced, but they also gave you the option and said, listen, this is what worked for us, but it might not work for you, but try it. And then what happens is you end up finding a middle ground that works for you two compared to what worked for them. What's one thing that you guys learned about whilst being married that no one told you about?
You know what, I would say for me that you're constantly changing and learning each other. And I don't think nobody said that. And we didn't really see that. You see me, I didn't grow up with people who were married. I didn't see people growing up that were married. You know, I saw people who were together, but that didn't mean anything because maybe they were together a week, not together for a month, and blah blah. So I just remember my auntie and uncle were married, but it wasn't because they were Christians and God, you know, was at the center of that. It's because they'd been together for a long time. I suppose love was the main thing, and then they got married. But I didn't have any examples of that. And so nobody really said that you actually continuously learning each other. You get men. So the same person that you marry on your wedding day, is going to change maybe on the honeymoon, and then change a month after, and then change in another year. You get me? So you're constantly having to understand that person is constantly changing.
Sharina?
That you're not single anymore. So everything I do, I have to involve Tafara. I can't be just like, okay, I'm putting my coat on, I'm getting out the house. I have to let Tafara know. Okay.
Well, I listened to this podcast in particular, and it's the Love Hour. I think you guys was there as well. And Kev on stage was talking about on this particular episode, he was saying that he had been with his wife for about 16 years and he knew one version of her. So when she then changed and she became essentially 2.0, he didn't realize that the evolution was happening. So certain things that would work before, certain excuses that worked before, certain things that you'd said, or, you know, if you'd done something, if you had certain actions and it didn't match up to what you were saying, all those things didn't work in the 2.0 version. And one of the things that I don't think we, especially as Black Christians, talk about enough is that the person that I married when they were 21 or 25 or 30 isn't the same person that, you know, grew up, had kids when I was 50, 55, 60. And, you know, we're going to church and we're sitting by each other, but we're not the same people. We've grown and we've evolved, and we don't have those kind of conversations. Do you feel like you guys had mentors in terms of like older couples? Like, I don't know how that would work. Sharina, if we start with you, do you feel like you guys had mentors at any point in time?
Not really. I just used to look at people and say, oh, they've got a good relationship. I'd aspire something like that. But no, not really.
Farah?
No. All examples were trash.
But what does trash mean?
You know
what does trash look like though?
Like it didn't look happy. And then when I was trying to get, you know, genuine advice, it was, oh, everything's okay. And then 2 weeks down the line, there's some big old scandal, or, you know, there's some big old, you know, thing happening. And I was like, oh, Ralph, you said this was fun. Like, you didn't talk about those nitty gritties. You didn't say how hard it was. And if only somebody just was like, you know what, it's the best decision I've ever made. It's work, but this is what I want to do. Then I would have been more, you know, receptive to that advice. But I didn't have any examples, honestly. And the only examples that I had were my friends who were getting married at the time.
And that's crazy as well, because one of the things that we should be talking about in general is that it's hard work, but as long as you marry the right one, it's worth it. And sometimes we look at it like it's hard work, but we should still get married. But realistically, it's like, yo, if you marry the wrong one, and that thing mash up,
Right.
and then you're just like, okay, because that's what people spiral and they go, you know what, marriage isn't for me because they married the wrong one, or they married him in the wrong time, so they rush what God's plan was. And we have to be careful in terms of, with our generation and generations coming before us, that we don't follow the same examples that where we lacked above us from a mentorship standpoint. But in terms of God and faith, I want to talk about how important is that to you guys in your marriage?
They're very important. I think we've seen the effects of when we do put God first, and then when we don't put him first. The Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all things will fall into place. And yeah, I just believe that wholeheartedly. I don't even think I'd be with Tafari if it wasn't God first, to be honest. Because that's the first thing that attracted me about him, was his love and thirst for God.
Oh, Farah. How important is God and faith?
Yeah, same.
And why?
I think it's mad important to have the same belief system, because that's one thing that is just a non-negotiable. You get me? There's going to be other things that we can sit down and we can say. So, say for instance about disciplining Azariah, we can say, okay, what do you think? This is what I think. We can disagree, but then we can try to come to an understanding. But whereas faith, like, I don't, unless that person has a willingness to change, or a heart for God, and believes that belief, then like we can't compromise on that. So that was definitely important to me.
What's one piece of advice you guys would give to couples around our age, newly married couples coming up? What's one piece of advice you each would give?
Just learn your partner, learn what they like, learn their love language. Like, if Tafari likes gifts, you want to know what gifts he likes. There's no point going to the shop buying him a watch, and then when he receives the watch, he doesn't like it. So learn them, because they're constantly changing.
That's good.
Yeah, one piece of advice is to seek sound counsel. You get me? So not just like the older heads, but people who might think like you, people who might have the same circumstance as you, who maybe have the same background as you, and sit with them, and gain some understanding, and see what you want to take from them, and see what you say like, nah, that's not for me. So get proper advice.
Nah, that's good. That's good. And as it comes back to the kind of the proper advice, the right mentors, the right people in place, so you can go to people and have that kind of conversation. Did you guys have like marriage counselling?
We did.
To far right face, and you laughing, Sharina. How did that go? Considering, and I'll backtrack in terms of the conversation, what I'm asking, considering you guys say you didn't really have any mentors to look up to, considering Tafara, you said that the people that you look to around you in terms of friends, the fact that you had marriage counselling speaks volumes. So how was it for you guys?
Well, the original counselors that we wanted didn't fall through.
I don't know why that didn't happen. But the one that we did go to, we love them, you know, with everything that is in us. But the session was rubbish. And we only had one session. And when we went there, I felt like it was, what's wrong with Tafari? What can Tafari change? What is it about me? And nothing was geared towards Sharina. Previously, just now, Sharina mentioned about she dashed me away like she left. And so that was always a thing of mine about, you know, that not a worry, but a concern, so to speak. And I was like, okay, she's done it once. What's to say she's not going to do it again? You get me? So when I raised that, it was like, oh, but why do you feel like this? Oh, it must be something within you. Oh, we need to sit down alone. And I was just like, bro, like, it's not because like I'm insecure or there's something wrong with me. It's because this is what's happened. And so that's a concern of mine at this very moment. And it could possibly happen again. And so that was it. So I didn't feel like it was helpful at all.
Yeah, it was good advice, but not necessarily the right advice.
Oh, that's nice. Good advice, but not the right advice.
That's good, you know. That's good. That's good. That's crazy, because certain people say that they have so many different experiences with marriage counselling. For me and my wife, we had like our marriage counselling was great. The first session, I didn't want to do it first and foremost. I went on it because I was like, I ain't trying to chat my business to two people I don't really know like that. But she was like, nah, let's do it. Like, it's important. So I was like, okay, whatever. That first session, I just let it, or I was just let it all out. I was like, okay, cool. If we're going to run this thing, let's run this thing properly. So when we finished the session, it was like, that's our best session that we've had. And I was just like, listen, if you're going to come to me and say you're doing marriage counseling and true say I'm going to marry this woman and be with this woman for the rest of my life, I need to lay it all out on the table right now. Because if we don't do that, we're going to have problems come year 2 or year 3. We're going to have problems that we didn't discuss in marriage counseling. And I'm going to be like, who do I go to? Or what do I say? Or how do I maneuver in this situation? So marriage counseling for me was great. If you don't get the right people who allow you to open up in that kind of space, it can be very dangerous. But everyone has different experiences, and that's why it's really important, the mentors and having the right counselors around you and the right people around you. But now I want to move into how your careers, your creative talents. Let's start talking about that. So you're both teachers. How did you both go into teaching? You get me? How did a teacher marry a teacher? Like, talk what's going on here? Talk to me.
I don't know, coincidence.
You got to tell
Because we went to the same school again.
No.
Nah.
You got to tell Haych about the juice bar.
The juice bar?
What you're trying to apply for, the juice bar.
That's got nothing to do. Nah, okay. So I was applying for just jobs. I wanted to work in the school, but I
hold on. This is before you even thought about doing teaching or anything like that. Or this is during? This is wild. This is during the process.
In the midst of.
Okay.
During the process. So I was applying for schools as well as other jobs that I didn't even see myself doing. So I applied for this juice bar job. I got to the second stage where I had to write a jingle of a song about juices, and I didn't get through.
Wait, so, did you write the song?
No, I didn't. That's why I didn't get through.
Oh, so the thing that they asked you to do.
I was just like, this is so weird. I was like, one day, this isn't for me. The juice bar
industry is just not for you.
It isn't for me. And so I got a reply back from one of my CVs, which was a school that I actually know very well.
Okay.
On the corner from my mum and dad's house. A school around the corner from where I used to go. I originally applied for a dinner lady, but then I saw another post that was going for teacher, so I applied for that. And I got both. So obviously I went for the teaching one.
Nah, do you know how sick that is? Do you understand how sick that is that you got the dinner lady post and the teacher post?
Yeah.
Nah, that's wavy. That's wavy. Oh my gosh.
I read my CV and it was like, is it this the same person? And it was like, your CV was the best. And I was like, thank God, because
here we are.
Yeah, here we are. And I think I had good teachers when I was growing up, and it imparted in me good stuff. And so I wanted to at least impart that into somebody else. And I just love children. Absolutely adore them.
Nah, that's good still.
Why? My story is a little different.
No juice bar application or nothing like that.
No, sir. But there was many things before then, but it wasn't a juice bar. Man, I wanted to be like, first I wanted to be an actor, a physiotherapist, a drama therapist. I wanted to be an occupational therapist. I wanted to be, did I say a youth worker? So I wanted to be all these things. Teaching was not on my radar at all. And so I was working at this residential home, residential children's home. And after like 3 months, I was like, oh, nah, this ain't for me, man. Like the hours are mad. And I remember almost missing my brethren's wedding. And I was like, this definitely ain't for me if I'm going to miss important things like this.
Nah, not at all.
I was like, brother, I ain't going to show up. I'm going to be at the wedding. And what then? And so I remember applying for stuff via agency. And I remember the lady called me and she was like, oh, this job's going at the school fair. If you want it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I do. But what am I going to say to this employer? And then she was just like, just tell them like you're leaving, innit? And then you got another opportunity, and I was like, "Yo, let me just take the jump." And I did that. And I was teaching assistant at this school for about 1.5 years. Then I wanted to change my career. And then I don't know, I just kind of because I was working in schools, I kind of saw like I cared a lot about, you know, the education of the youth, but also because I worked in a behavioral school as well, I was like, yo, I'm mad interested in this. And so I did teaching assisting for like 3-4 years, and I was like, I need to like level up. You get me? So I went back to uni, studied to be a teacher. Here I am now.
So when you guys studied to be teachers, was you guys as a couple, or was you separate or married, or?
Well, I think we weren't married when you got the job, but we were together.
Yeah.
So Sharina got her job way before we got married. But me, I had always had a job, but when I was studying, when I wanted to become a teacher, we were together, and that was hard, man.
Why?
I was working like 16, 17 hours a day because I didn't get a bursary.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't studying to be a teacher. You're basically working full time for free. And so I was like, I'm getting no bursary and I'm working for free essentially. Ain't no money coming in the house. I don't know not how to work. You get me, and not know how not to provide. You get me. So I was like, I need a job. If it's part time and I'm giving Shrina like £50, at least I know I'm giving something.
Yeah.
And so I found this part time job that was 3 days a week, and would work that. And I think I was at the school from like half 8 in the morning till about 3:30. I used to drive home, get showered, eat dinner, get dressed, literally, and leave the house, and go straight to this job. Leave there at 11 in the night, and then come back home, go to sleep, do it all over again. And so that was hard, man.
So what effect did that have on you two though? Like during that process, Sharina?
I really felt the financial burden of it, and I just was so annoyed. Sometimes I wouldn't even talk to him. Sometimes I just bottle up so much. Yeah, I bottle up so much things inside me, and I just couldn't get it out, man. So I was just, it was mad.
Yeah, but I think like what I had to do was really, you know what I didn't do? I didn't sit her down and say, okay, this is what I want to do, but this is the benefit of doing this.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay, I'm going to study, but not really giving Sharina the full picture of that. And then so it was just like, boom, I'm making this amount of money now, but now that I'm studying to be a teacher, I'm not getting no bursary, and I'm getting like £400 a month. And it was like, oh, you're getting what now? Okay.
But in the end, I understood that, and I took on that role without a problem because I knew where he wanted himself to be and us to be as a couple. So, yeah.
Like the bigger picture was always us and where I want us to get to. It wasn't never about, oh yeah, well, I want a higher paying job just for me, and like a job title to say, yeah, I'm a teacher. You get me? But it was always like, okay, boom, I want to make sure that we don't live what we're used to, but we can live better. You get me? And our children and our grandchildren, if we have them, and you know, them types of things there.
So basically what I'm hearing is just that starting communication just wasn't there, and it's only when you kind of got into it, you're like, yo, okay, listen, hold on, before we go too far, let me just tell you what we're doing. I'm trying to do this for us. And that's always a difficult thing if you don't communicate what your plan is in your head, the bigger plan, the bigger picture. Your partner can then be like, hold on, what's happening?
Yeah. And you know what's mad about that? Yeah, like about when we're talking about constantly changing, like our communication got better, but that was only for a certain aspect of our relationship. So maybe that communication was good for, okay, this is how you're feeling. Okay, let's communicate that instead of shutting down or you know, going, but let me give it some time. Whereas this type of communication was different because what I needed to do was sit down and explain something, as opposed to sharing my feelings about something.
How did we get to the point where Tafari, the teacher, Sharina will come on to you with the singing and the vocals? But how do we get to a point Tafari, the teacher, then starts doing doozy talks, stops doozy talks, restarts Doozy Talks. Talk to me about Doozy Talks.
Yeah, man. You know what? I first started it because I was like, all I'm seeing out here is these cheesy motivational things, and nobody's keeping it 100, and I can't get nothing from this. So it was like, start your day off with a positive mindset, and you'll do great. And I was like, what? Like that, I can't take that advice. Like, what's really good? Like, I can't. What's that? And the people that I'm trying to reach, are people that look like me. The people that I work with, that I teach, them types of things. They're not going to respond to those types of things. I'm not responding to it. And so I always wanted to share my story. And I said, what's the best way for me to do that? Because there's some heavy hitting stuff. And so I was like, okay, the best way to do this is to do Doozy Talks, because I don't mind sharing my truth, my life. I can speak to anybody about anything. And then that stops because life happens. And so I'm experiencing all these different things from life. And I don't feel motivated. And I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, well, I'm going to continue because it looks good. Or now, if I don't feel motivated, I can't motivate other people. And so that stops. And then when life happens again, I'm like, okay, you know what? What's going on? My story still needs to be told. People still need to be motivated. Okay, boom, let me start it up again. And I think that kind of stems as well from being a teacher, because the types of children that I'm teaching, they remind me of me when I was younger and coming to school. And so I was like, I had 3 teachers that I can think back to who wanted me to do better, who were tough on me, but still showed me that love and respect because they wanted me to do better. And so I was like, yo, I want to be that.
So what's the overall goal with Doozy Talks? What do you want to, if you was to look, say, in however many years' time, and Doozy Talks has achieved essentially what you wanted it to, what would that look like?
My own school, Really? I'd love to have my own school. Yeah, definitely. With subjects that I feel are fitting to the individual. Because when I was 16 and I wanted to go off to London and study and go to drama school, people were like, no, you can't do that. Where's the money? There's no money in that.
Always comes back to that, innit? Always comes back to
my
that.
Dream. And so that's why I ended up having so many jobs, because I was trying to find what it was that I wanted to do outside of being an actor. And so I think my end goal is definitely to have a school where I want to run it the way I can, and the people that are in those positions are people who think like me, or at least have the same outcome as me. I mean, the same goal, as me.
And the same passion as well, because
definitely
with where you're at in terms of your mindset and what you're doing with Doozy Talks is amazing. And I can see that it's inspiring people. No matter how short, no matter how long the video is, it inspires people to, whether it's themselves, to do more, whether it inspires them to read with their kids, whether it inspires them to, look at different aspects of life and be like, you know what, I can get through this day. And it's not your typical, hey, you having a bad day? Well, hey, come on, smile with me. It's not the typical that. So I think that's amazing what you're doing. And I've already told you that I think it's one of those things that you have to keep continuing to do. And hopefully, God willing, you get to that goal that you want and you see in terms of having that school and can inspire people continually throughout the ages. Sharina, let's talk about the singing. Obviously, no, because at the start of the episode when I introduced you, you didn't want to say that you were singing, You know how mad that is? You didn't want to say you had no voice.
I wouldn't class myself as a singer.
Stop it right now. Stop it right now. We bind that in the name of Jesus. Because stop that. So let's talk.
I think you should sing something for that so that people can hear what's good.
Anyway.
Don't bury your gift. Don't bury your gift. That's the Bible.
Okay, it all started in church.
Yeah.
Singing on the junior choir and the youth choir, singing at every single program going. I don't think it was out of choice that I wanted to sing. I was almost bribed and forced into it. And so that led on to me having huge anxiety.
Really?
Yeah. And so when people asked me to sing, I would say no. I used to just hide, literally hide. And literally this year, I'm just starting to unlearn. I mean, yeah, I'm starting to having to unpack all those things and relearn them. So I'm just at that stage now where I'm having to just learn my gift and just appreciate what God has put in me, to be honest.
You know what's crazy? There's so many people that start singing off in church. And because they're always the one put on the program, they're always the one put to do this and that, they might have another gift. Could be preaching, could be the mixing desk at the back. It could be whatever their gift is that God has given them. It could be something else as well. But as soon as people hear you sing, or as soon as people hear you know scriptures a little bit, they want to get you up to preach, do your 10-minute sermonette or whatever they want to call it. And then now you're stuck in that cycle because people only see you as that. And so many people have not just moved away. For you didn't move away from church. You just stopped singing. So many people I know have moved away from church because people have pushed them to do something that they were like, listen, I can do more. This is not, my name isn't singer. My name is this. That's so much more to me. And I hear this story more than you would think of people saying, I've been singing since I was about 5, but I just stopped singing at the age of 9 because people just used to force me up there. And then it was like, okay, because I stopped singing, people stop, checking for me, start looking out for me. And it's like, hold on. People only check you if your gift is on display. That's crazy. Man. That's crazy to me. But that's how sometimes it happens to people. And it's crazy that when you were saying your story, I'm like, yo, this ain't just like a 1-person, 2-person thing. This is a continuous. So as you said, you're getting back into learning your gift. How difficult was that period? Because personally speaking, your voice is, you get me? I like voices. I'm someone who likes voices. My son likes voices. He's heard bad singing, started crying. When he hears good singing, he will sit there, not move. So me and my son know voices. You have an amazing voice, but how hard was it to hold that gift away because of the anxiety?
Very hard. I mean, I wouldn't sing anywhere. Ask me to sing at church. People will phone me, can you sing here? I'd say no. And I just get huge anxiety, and the burden of it is too much. But then I felt like I was saying no to God, and that made me even more of a burden. And so this pandemic has good sides to it, but bad as well. I think it's taught me to just let go and just let God, because it's not for me, it's for others. And the amount of people that have said to me, oh, Sharina, how can you not sing no more, not knowing the root of it. And so I had to go back to find out what the root cause was. And yeah, it stemmed from there.
That's mad. So how important is it, on to the next question, is the support of Tafara, especially in those types of moments, with your gift, supporting you with your talent? How important is that, and why?
Very important. I think the people that you expect to support you don't support you. And so if nobody else is going to support me, then I know that Tafara is always in my corner, and I know that he's my biggest fan. They're always encouraging me to say, Sharina, we need videos. Where's the videos? Come on, you need to do something.
We need the videos still. We need the videos. Now we need the videos. Oh, now you're on big YouTube, which we'll come and talk to about in a video. We still ain't got no videos. No pressure. We're not trying to give you no pressure. But don't. You get me? We need videos. Tafara, how important is it that Sharina supports you with the whole doozy talks and everything that you're trying to do with that, and why?
Man, it's important that she does, because sometimes I might forget or lose sight and the vision of why I started. And then so Sharina will be onto me like, So where's the videos? Where's the content? And then she'll be like, and I'll be like, man, I'm not getting enough likes. I'm not doing it. And she'll be like, but you're not doing it for the likes. Like you're doing it because it's gonna touch somebody. I'm like, man, get out of here with that wisdom, man. And so she always reminds me and keeps me grounded. Like, you know what? It's not about the likes. It's not about who's supporting you, who doesn't support you. But it's about the one or two who are like, you know what you said, like it hit me still, and I appreciate what you put out.
And that's deep, because there was a man by the name of Chronix who said, do it for the love. You don't do it for the like.
Chronix, blood.
I'm just saying. But that's what can hold us back, especially when you're trying to create content, release music and those types of things. You look at the likes and you be like, hold on, I put all the editing, all this, all that into this video, and only 20 of you want to come like this thing? No. Re-up the thing. Re-up. Let me send this to everyone in the DMs. Re-up the likes, because what's happening. And sometimes we can get lost in that. As you said, we can get lost in looking for the likes when the likes weren't why we started. The likes are not the root. They're not the foundation in terms of what we're trying to do. They're not God.
Yeah.
So that is so important, to make sure that we have the goal always literally here. Like, what am I trying to do? What's the plan? Okay, this is the plan. Cool. Just put it out. So that's why I come back to you, Sharina, in terms of the vocals and the videos. It's not about doing it to other people's timing. It's not about people rushing you. It's not about who's going to like it. It's not about who's going to watch it. It's about you putting something out and not bottling up what you have and what God has given you, essentially. So that's why Farah is always going to be on your case, because he's going to hear the voice every day. But that's why I'm going to be on your case, because I'm like, yo. But it's down to your timing, but don't bottle it up, because you don't know what God will do with that once it's out there. But God can't do much with it if you hold it back. Does that make sense? Anyway.
I'm calling that Haych highlight.
So you guys were then married for like 3 and a bit years, and you have a baby during a global pandemonium, during a global pandemic.
Blood.
What is that like?
I found it okay, actually. I think I was due the month after we went into lockdown, so I was ready to just call work quits and chill at home, because I was heavy. I was so tired, and I just was like to Farah, I think I'm gonna start my maternity early because I'm just tired. But then when I came home from work that evening, they called me and said, oh, Sharina, we're going into a lockdown, so you don't have to come back in. And I was like, praise Jesus. I don't have to come back into it, because I was seen as
high risk.
Yeah. So I was like, it all worked in my favor, to be honest.
Nah, I hear that. What's a far right for you? Because obviously, did they start to put those restrictions in, in terms of only one birthing partner and all these kind of things, those in place when you had? So what's that like? Because obviously there's you make plans. Everyone makes plans like, oh, I'm going to have my mom, I'm going to have this person. Oh yeah, my auntie's coming, cousin Radney coming from over there. So we're going to be in the room and everyone's going to be here. Someone's going to be feeding me grapes, someone's going to give me banana, someone's going to fan me, someone's going to give me water. But now it goes down to just one person. What is that? Just you two in the room? What's that like?
I loved it, because I didn't want anybody else there. I was like, no sisters need to be here, no parents need to be here, no brothers, no cousins, no aunties, no church folk. Like, nobody needs to be in here, because I think my main focus was making sure that Sharina was okay, and my baby was good. And so when they put that in implementation, I was like, yeah, I'm cool with this. It was a bit weird, because I didn't know if I was, because before we even got into the suite, now Sharina had to go and get checked. And I wasn't even allowed in there, so I had to sit in the hallway. So I was like, what is this? And I thought, this better not be the case when she's giving birth. And then so when I saw her come out, she's like, yeah, but we have to go to the suite. She was like, oh yeah, you can come. I was like, oh, okay, I'm coming, baby. So yeah, that in the back of my mind, I was like a bit like, it's like, what's gonna happen? Because I know how much of a vulnerable situation or position a woman can be in giving birth. You get me? And that's excluding everything that could happen or everything that is happening. And so I was like, I just want to be in there to be able to make the right decisions if Sharina's not able to.
That's key, because when the woman is in that position of the baby, couple more centimeters dilated, they start grabbing up your clothes, start boxing you, start doing all these kind of things. You start to think, hold on, I'm going to need to make these decisions, because you're where you are is not where you should be in terms to make these right decisions. And it's so key. But as young Black parents having a child, one of the things I want to ask is, did you feel any like more weary considering like the more risk factors that are around, Black mothers having kids compared to any other kind of race?
I was.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like, I know how crazy the medical system is. I don't like taking paracetamol, and so I prefer to sleep a headache off. And so I was saying, well, what if she needs to have this, and what if she loses blood, or what if the baby can't breathe and they're trying to take my baby away? But who am I going to stay with? I'm going to stay with Sharina. I'm going to go with my baby. Are they going to steal my baby? Like all these things were in place. I remember even when the lady came in to give Sharina the epidural, she's like, lean forward. And I was like, baby, you need to chill. She got a whole belly in front of her, so I'll take it from here. So that Sharina just scoot up a little bit and lean forward, and then she was able to do that. And so I'm super weary of the medical system because of the experiences that we had as a community, and not even so much that we've experienced personally, but the things that we've seen and heard.
Nah, I hear that. Sharina, you was cool. You was just like,
Yeah, I was fine. I think I was more worried about being in the hospital full of COVID, to be honest. It didn't cross my mind.
Wow, so you're just like, yeah, I know I got a baby, but this COVID thing,
yeah.
I'm not sure about that. So since you guys have become parents, how have you grown individually as people? Patience.
I had patience before, but my patience now
is different, isn't it?
Top notch. It's different. It's level still.
If you are yeah, man. I think in the middle of this panorama, like my patience has. I'm easily irritated. I'm not impressed by a lot. I'm not easily impressed, and so seeing Sharina carry the baby for all these months and then give birth, and then only have 1 hour, 2 hours sleep, but still soldier on and continue to do the damn thing. My appreciation and my gratitude for women and life has increased as a person. Like, it's mad.
What was the first feelings when Azrael was born?
Man,
I just started bawling. Too much emotion.
I just wanted everybody out the room so I could stare at this baby. And I was just there like, oh my gosh, like everybody leave now. I just want to be with my baby. And I was just staring at her like, yo, like this is all us.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that we waited so long for this moment and here. Man, she was perfect in every single way, and she came at the perfect time. And that's not even like a cliche thing. Like, she came at the perfect time.
And that's what tends to happen. Wow. My son came at the perfect time as well. That was because of the passing of my granddad. So we buried my granddad that week that my son was born. So it was just like, yo, this is crazy. So for you guys, what was happening around that time, if you want to go into it, that made it that Azrael came at the perfect time?
Well, trigger warning, because this is deep.
Okay.
So boom. So let's go back to February. So on my birthday, we have the baby shower, and we found out that we're having a girl. Everybody's in fun spirits. I think it's the day after. My sister tells me that nobody's heard from my dad. These times he's in St. Kitts. Nobody's heard from him. So that's a bit weird, because he's talking to at least one of us at some time. He might not speak to me for 2 weeks, but he's talking to somebody else. And that's just kind of how the communication rotated, or however it did. So then it's like, okay, we're making calls to the authorities. Where's my dad? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. He's missing. What we're going to do. So then we're waiting. So the whole of February, or maybe like the first 2-3 weeks, we're just waiting and we're in limbo. Like, where's my dad? What's going on? So then we get word that he's been murdered. And so I have to leave Sharina, who's 7, 8 months, about 7 months pregnant, leave Sharina and to go to St. Kitts to sort all that out. I come back now and I have to go back to work. The pandemic has hit, and so that's happened, and so now I'm just stuck home, and I'm conscious about how I'm going to process, the pandemic, but also the murder of my dad. And so I'm conscious of, I can't burden Sharina with this because I need to make sure that she is in perfect health, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of those things. And so I can't, burden her with how I'm feeling. And so almost I'm kind of bottling up. I can't grieve.
Yeah, you're trying to hold it together, innit?
Yeah, like I just can't grieve. I might have cried here and there, but I just couldn't grieve the way that I needed to or could. And then, my dad's birthday hits April 24th, and that's a whole thing in itself. And then about 5 days later, Azraya's born, and all I can think about is, man, like all of that has happened. But this baby is here, and so if she wasn't here, then I know that I would have been on a mad one. I just know it. I know that I would have been lashing out. I know that I probably would, just not be home the way that I needed to be. I would have been just on a mad one. And so when Azraya was here or came, I was like, for this baby girl that is ours, I have to keep it together. I need to make sure that the decisions that I'm making aren't gonna affect, her in any way, in the present or in the future, as well as Sharina. And so when I say she came at the perfect time, I'm not just saying, oh yeah, she made us a better person, and because life will do that. You don't need a baby to make you a better person.
Facts.
You get me? And so when she came, I was like, why you you little girl, like you don't even know how, like, parents love their kids, or should, and I was just like, you don't even know the joy that you've brought and that you're bringing and that you will continue to bring, like, that you don't even know.
It's a turnaround thing. It turns around, especially when you're in that kind of moment as well. It turns around you from being like, yo, where's my head at, to now I gotta focus.
Yeah.
Because it's no longer just, hey, chilling, Tafari, doing your thing, Sharina doing your thing. Now it's like, oh, baby's here. Like our baby that we created, two of us, we now have a big responsibility, as well as everything else that's going to be going on in your mind. You now have to compartmentalize everything and be like, okay, this has to go here, this has to go here, and here needs to be my wife and my child, so I can focus. Or for Sharina, it's like my husband and my child needs to be here, so I can focus on everything. And that's crazy. Like that happened, and the baby and Azrael was then born. Like that's amazing, but crazy at the same time. So for you guys, being married, being being parents, when has there been a time where your foundation has been rocked as a married couple, and how have you overcome that?
I think sometimes, well, I don't want to speak for you, but let me speak for me. I think when outsiders are let in and for me, that was like, nobody could be in my ear, but people kept lying on me. And so I was sleeping apparently with this one and that one. I was stealing from this one and that one. I beat up this one and that one. Like, so many lies are being told about me. And I was just like, I'm not even used to this happening. Like, that's mad. And so the effect that had on the marriage was shaky, because I was like, I'm constantly having to prove myself as not being this person, not only to my wife, but these other people. And I also have to be conscious about how I'm doing that, because me, I wanted to cut everybody and just fight people and all those things there. You get me? I was a work in progress, and I still am. And so I realized that Sharina didn't respect that response, and couldn't handle that response. And so I was conscious of how I was responding, and that was shaky, because I was like, well, I can't respond the way I need to, or every week this something, so you should be thinking about me, not realizing that it was impacting her as well.
Yeah, I'd say the same. It was hard. Like, am I going to believe my husband or am I going to believe the lies of these people?
Wow.
And it wasn't just like it was 2 people, it was huge amounts of people. And so there was days where I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And I'd just go into myself. I'd lock myself in the room. I wouldn't speak. I wouldn't do anything. And it was just a mad time. And I was ready to call it quits, to be honest.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Even though like you didn't know, well, even though your husband's saying, listen, you need to believe me, you've got these people with all these accusations and whatever, you were just like, listen, I'm done. Almost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, these are the things people don't tell you. Again, it comes back to marriage counselling. Like, nobody says, if this happens, how to manage that. And so for me, it was just the easy way out, just to leave.
So how did you to overcome that?
Again, we saw how. Yeah, from real genuine people who are our friends, who we knew genuinely cared about us, but who had also been through the same thing. You get me? And so I remember one time I went to go sit with one of my friends, and I was just like, I'm ready to leave. You get me? I'm over it. Like, I'm done. And he was just like, okay, fine, I hear what you're saying, understand all of that. And he asked me some questions. He was like, well, really, can you really see yourself without Sharina? Like, is this what you really want? And I was like, no. I said, go home then and sort it out. And then there was another couple of our veterans who were married, and they sat down with us, and we were just able to just really be open and honest without judgment, and just be like, man, this is how I'm feeling, this is what's happening. And they were able to talk us through that and help us to share our feelings and how we should be unpacking and maneuvering those things. And that was a huge help.
And you know what's crazy is that both of you were at the point where you was like, I'm done, but from 2 different angles. Like Sharina's trying to process all this information, and she's like, this is too much. Tafara's trying to like defend his name, prove himself, and be like, yo, listen, just believe. I just need her to believe me. I can imagine what's going through your head. But you both are like, you know what? And it comes back to the whole communication thing that we talked about earlier, where Sharina's saying she didn't really want to communicate. Tafara's like, I'm trying to do the best that I can, but you had to understand each other in that space and in that time to have those kind of conversations, essentially. So what advice would you give to someone or to a couple who are going through similar things, where things seem like they're breaking down, things seem like they're taking a turn for the worse? What advice individually would you give to them?
You can get through it. I mean, if we did, you guys can too. There's no situation too hard that can't be turned around. Just always remember your vows and the commitment that you made to each other. Yeah.
I thought the same thing, like literally remember why you got married, and think to yourself, can you live without this person? And is this fixable? Doesn't matter how hard it's going to be. Doesn't matter how long it might take. Is it fixable? And do you want to remain with this person? Because, for us, we always said divorce isn't an option. And even if we were to divorce, we were never thinking, oh, well, I'm going to get remarried, because we don't believe in that. You get me? And so, like, nobody wants to be alone. And I think loads of people kid themselves and be like, oh, well, I can be alone. I've been by myself for so long. But who doesn't long to just have somebody who loves on them through the good and the bad, and somebody who you can just confide in, and somebody who you can just trust unconditionally? I know if I tell Sharina anything, I know that it's not going to hit the ears of anybody. And if I tell Sharina something in confidence, then it's not. Then she's going to hold that with integrity. And so, yeah, man, like, nobody wants to be alone. Nobody. I don't believe people who say that they want to be alone.
That's good advice, because people might not be going through the same situation that you guys went through, but that advice can transcend through different situations, different problems, different issues. So now we move forward a little bit, because obviously as Ryan gets older, you guys have been married for 4 years. The YouTube channel, the Robos, comes out. Talk to me about why you started the YouTube channel and what you're trying to achieve from doing that.
I think there's not enough representation of this.
Okay.
Of young Black Christian love that doesn't that
Can
looks
be fun.
yeah, that looks fun. You get me? That looks honest. That looks like roller coaster. You get me? And so we want to show that. We want to show that yes, we are Christians. Yes, we are married. Yes, we have careers and baby and all those things. But there's pieces to this puzzle, and it's fun. As hard as it is, I would never change marrying Sharina and having a baby and living this life, because it gets better. Like, we are in such a good place. Like, Sharina irritates me. I irritate her, but now we know how to maneuver that. You get me? And I'm more in love with her than I've ever been. And when we go upstairs, she's gonna be like, "Oh, you didn't have that energy." Blah blah. I said what I said.
Tell people where they can find you on YouTube. Let them know when the videos is coming out, because it's every Friday 6 p.m. Is that right? Is that correct?
We hope to.
Yeah, we aim to drop a weekly video, but why? It's parent life and the way that this thing, technology isn't on our side sometimes, yo.
It's the editing for me. Since being on maternity, I don't know how to use technology.
I love when you say that. It's because I'm on maternity. Girl, please.
Everything to do with maternity.
You got an excuse. You can come back to that every single time. Listen, I don't know how to drive this car. Maternity. I don't know how to cook. You know what? Maternity. Like, all right, you're just gonna have to cook everything, because I just don't know how to use the frying pan.
It was like that.
Oh my gosh, that's jokes. My final question to you two: with where you two are both at in life right now, what one piece of advice would you give to yourself individually and then as a couple?
Individually, just be my authentic self and just believe in what God has given me, because it is powerful, and he didn't say it for no reason. So yeah.
I think for now I would say to myself one piece of advice I would give is truly be comfortable with who you are, and know how to display that. You get me? In the most genuine and comfortable way, because I feel like sometimes I was living my truth, but I was doing it in such a way that wasn't showing my true character. Yes, I might seem like I'm really direct and I'm super honest and I just say how it is, but I love people, and I don't ever want to see anybody hurt with what I'm saying, what I'm doing. And so yeah, just careful with how you're displaying your truth. Yeah.
And what one piece of advice would you give to you guys as a couple and as parents? What one piece of advice would you collectively give to yourselves?
Have fun with it.
Yeah. Just continue to be open, honest, and transparent. And communication.
It's the key. It's the key. Tafari, Sharina, thank you guys very much for this conversation. I really appreciate it. And guys, it's been Conversation with Haych with the Robos. Thank you guys for coming on. Really appreciate it. And thank you guys for tuning into Conversation with Haych. We'll have more content for you coming very, very soon.